Welcome everybody to the session called Skills Through Service, Volunteering for Professional Growth. And today's session we wanted to, one part people want to volunteer to help others, but then learning a new skill, making friends can also be motivations for people to volunteer. So it's important for us to recognize that some of these benefits and some of these drivers for motivation exists. Very excited to introduce our panelists today. We have here Santhosh Kumar. He's head of digital transformation at Bosch. He's a very experienced professional, and his expertise is ranging across engineering, customer account management, program management, business model creation, and culture change management. So a lot of skills that he's obviously been using in his corporate career, but we'll sort of learn about how volunteering also fits within that. He's also a certified people manager and a Gallup certified strengths coach. He has served as a voluntary advisor to NGOs as part of their boards, including through the Whiteboard program that iVolunteer supports, and is also an alumnus at BITS Pilani and IIM Lucknow. Glad to have you with us, Santhosh. Thank you. We also have with us Ranjani Ramaswamy. She's an industrial engineer and specializes in continuous improvement at Givaudan, which is a manufacturer of fragrances. Before this, she spent time at Boeing, where she was focused on manufacturing, including flight testing and evacuation. So very technical kind of profile. So interesting to see how volunteering kind of fits within that as well. She has done a degree from industrial engineering and management, and beyond her professional pursuits, she finds joy in travel, music, and of course volunteering. Welcome, Ranjani. And then we have Surendran, Krishnan, who is with us as well. He's an ESR, ESG professional and currently looks after the ESR and sustainability at CGI India. He's very, very passionate about driving positive change in communities, and also is the founder of a volunteering movement called We the Volunteers. And he's led a community of 10,000 volunteers as well. And overall, his leadership and commitment to building a volunteering program at CGI has also helped CGI with various titles like Leader in Volunteer Engagement and Leader in Employee Volunteering. So definitely a lot to learn from you, Suren. Welcome. So to beyond the descriptions of job titles and accomplishments, what would be very helpful to is learn what your personal journeys have been with respect to volunteering. How did you start volunteering, and what different types of volunteering you all have done over the years? So if you can just share, Santhosh, your experience with the same.
Maybe before even I start with my volunteering journey, maybe some snapshots of who I am beyond these designations, positions, and corporate experience. I'm a curious learner of life, and few questions that has always kind of triggered me, or that kind of always intrigued me is like, one is how to be happy. So how to be happy, how do we create that well-being? In 3 dimension. The 3 dimension that I look at is the places wherever I am, and the time, that is always, and the people, that with all the people that I work. This is something that from the childhood, these are the 3 questions that was always in my mind, like how do I create this, like well-being or happiness, positivity in wherever I am, with whomever I am, and at all the time. So this is one snapshot I want to give. And personally, I'm interested in literature, reading, and learning some new topics. So this is another thing. So there is a background, that's the reason I'm talking about. So this is me, and I started my journey in corporate world sometime in 2004. In 2006, it seems, there was one day, there was a forward mail asking, we need people who can do, who can work as a scribe from an organization, Samarthanam, for the visually challenged student, and they wanted somebody to be a scribe. And specifically the note said they need somebody who is good in Kannada and who can read, write Kannada. So people reached out to me because I was considered to be good in Kannada and Kannada literature, and asked, "Hey Santhosh, there is a need. Somebody who knows Kannada can go and be a scribe to a visually challenged student." I went there and I called actually the number that was given, and there was one Vijaya madam who said that, "Hey, why don't you come over? Let's speak." And I went and I understood what does it mean to be a scribe. I didn't know that there is a concept called scribe, and you can write exam for the visually challenged students. And then I understood that almost like 5 to 6 subjects, the same person has to be a scribe within a span of 10 days. Taking 6 days off was kind of impossible for me. I said, "Sorry, madam, I cannot do this." But Vijaya madam said, "Hey, why don't you do volunteering here? You have come up to Samarthanam and you are good at Kannada, and we need people who can teach Kannada." I said, accepted, because anyway it was my interest, Kannada teaching and Kannada literature. So I said, accepted. So started working as teaching volunteer in sometime in 2006, and that journey continued. But the subjects kept on changing from Kannada to womenology, psychology, journalism, statistics. You name a subject that started. That gave me a wonderful opportunity to learn so many different subjects which I wouldn't have read or I didn't read or learn in the engineering. So gave me a better understanding of the life and the society, and that is what has happened in the 8 year. And then I kind of discontinued working as volunteer. I couldn't do that due to the professional and personal reasons, but I continued to stay connected with some of the NGOs, some of the people who are in the social space. This is, let's say, part one of my volunteering journey. Sometime in 2020, in the organization where I work, Bosch, there is a program called Corporate Whiteboard, which is a program run by iVolunteer. iVolunteer works with multiple organizations, corporate organizations, where they look for people from the middle management to senior management and say that, hey, by working in the social sector as volunteer, there is a possibility that these people would gain skills what is required for leadership. So this is a program, I think experimental program that was running, and with 3 different companies, Bosch, Siemens and Titan put together, and from each company 4 people from the mid to senior management would be picked, and they would become a board. It's called Corporate Word Board. It works as an independent board, guided by the whiteboard of iVolunteer. So as part of the leadership development program, I got nominated to be part of this Corporate Whiteboard, and that's how I started working with multiple NGOs on different topics. It could be helping them to build their strategy, helping them to build their communication, or discovering the pain point, discovering or helping them with the succession plan. So any topic that a NGO wants. So 12 of us coming from different background, engineering, IT, marketing, digital, you name it, field, probably one of us would have worked, and the whole idea is we have gained some skill in the corporate world, which we can use it in the NGO space. And by doing that, or while doing that, you would also learn a lot of things. So this was the idea. So it was kind of a experiential journey, 1.5 year program. I think it is 12 to 14 months, but thanks to COVID, it became a 18-month program. So continued on that journey. And one interesting that used to happen is, apart from working with the NGO, we used to spend good amount of time reflecting on our learnings. Every month we would meet as a board, and board is chaired by one person out of this 12, and we would look at like what are the engagements and how is it going, what is progressing, are we really adding value, or do we need to work with this NGO, can we really add value or not? These are the questions that we used to openly discuss. And like out of 12 somebody is not working, not able to contribute, then questions like tough questions like, hey, what are you doing? Understand, like these are people coming from different companies, there is no authority over them, there is no line organization. These are people from totally different field, different organization, even within Bosch, different business divisions. So this 1.5 year continued, and after that, so that program got over, but I found this to be useful, and I said I want to continue with the whiteboard, and I now also continue with the part of the whiteboard in the iVolunteer. That's my volunteering journey.
Thanks for sharing, Santhosh. Interesting to see how it started with the curiosity, and now it's been 15 years and you've continued on this journey. Thanks for sharing. Ranjani, same question for you. Would love to hear your volunteering journey and your beginning with volunteering as well.
So, hello everyone. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for being here. I'm grateful to Satish for this opportunity and glad to be sharing my story here today. So, around 8 years ago or so, back then I was in my first year of engineering, and usually after the first year we get those 2 months break where before we get into the next semester. During that time, I was really wanting to go meet my favorite actor, Surya. He's my favorite actor right from childhood. And during those 2 months, I somehow wanted to go meet him, do something, and just get to see him. He also runs an organization called Agaram Foundation in Tamil Nadu, where they teach underprivileged kids and help with their education and schooling. So, being here in Bangalore, I called their office and asked if I could virtually volunteer for them, hoping that someday they might call me to their Chennai office and I somehow get to meet Surya. It was a very childhood thing that I had. Back then, virtual or anything online wasn't really a thing. It was before COVID. So they told no such thing exists and you wouldn't be able to do this. If you want to volunteer with us, come to Chennai. And it wasn't possible, of course. My parents wouldn't at all be okay with it, me uprooting and going to Chennai. So what started off as wanting to go meet Surya, I just wanted to do something that he does. Just wanted to copy whatever my favorite actor is doing. And I googled NGOs, that's how I found UNI. And I just signed up, went for the interview, and I was happy because I was doing whatever my favorite actor was doing. Started off there, and there were a lot of leaders and volunteers who helped me through the journey, teach kids. Basically what I started off with was teaching kids at a center. It was a center of kids where there were around 30 kids from the nearby slums or, underprivileged backgrounds. And I got to teach them English, math, science through the year. This was a model where we had to give a 9-month commitment. We had to be there every week and teach them for 2.5 hours. So I showed up every week because I knew there was a kid waiting for me and had to be there every week, and I felt responsible for the kid. During the end of class, usually we have a huddle with all the volunteers. It's like a debrief where we discuss about class, how class went, what are certain things that we could do better and things like this. I used to fret being in that space because it wasn't at all easy for me to sit around 8-10 people, talk, discuss how things went, and soon after class I'd head out and leave the place. But this consistency kept me going because I had to show up for the child, and over time it became a comfortable thing to do, to talk amidst a group of people, and that's how I'm also here today, which is a little unimaginable for the 8-year-old, for somebody who was there 8 years ago. Yeah. And towards the end of the first year, I really loved the impact that I saw, and I wanted to take up more responsibility and do more. So there was an opportunity to take up leadership, which is also volunteering. What we get to do in this role at UNI is, as a leader volunteer, we get to manage other teacher volunteers and help them basically teach their kids. So through that journey, there was a lot of working with other people, running a center, ensuring that class takes place no matter what. And during this time, a lot of things like learning people dynamics and as a 21-year-old, knowing how to work with them, managing the EQ of the center, be it the kids or the volunteers, and the only goal was ensuring class happens. There used to be volunteers who drop out last minute or, certain other issues. The end goal was ensuring class happens. And this was a live problem solving that I got to do through the leadership journey. And over the years, there were other responsibilities, and I got to also do fundraising and crowdfunding through the years. It was a very different and new experience because we get to network with people, reach out to our circles, and talk to them about how this is a cause I believe in, and if you're up for it, you can be there for me. And it was surprising seeing how my circle wanted to be there and support me through this. And crowdfunding was also something that gave a lot of learning to explore in this space. Other things like leadership trainings that I got to do, and coaching people. This built a lot of self-confidence through the years. So now it's about managing 2 to 3 different centers in Bangalore, which is around almost 800 kids in Bangalore, and running this city, city with volunteers who are 700 in number. And it's been a good experience through the years, and I'm really happy being here.
Rain, so I'll ask you to put on a slightly different hat, especially since you've been driving volunteering at CGI. If you can share CGI as an organization, their journey through volunteering, how it's evolved in terms of how they view volunteering, and some of the initiatives that you'll have at CGI.
Everyone, thank you for attending this session and talking about CGI's journey. But my journey way back in 2012, I started volunteering, but CGI I joined 4.5 years back. And in CGI, formal volunteering started in 2018. Before that, it was only ad hoc. It's a donation sort of a thing that they were doing. And 2018, formally, a CSR came into picture, and then we formally began how do we structure volunteering in CGI. And I joined by 2020 to take forward the volunteering. Currently, we are 20,000 employees across the country, only in India. Globally, 80,000. Our volunteering counts to around 8,000 members in 1 year, with 22,000 hours of volunteering across different sections of the society, where our members who are our employees go volunteer. So there are opportunities provided for them. It could be on skilling, it could be on humanity, on different sections. But formally, it's been 4.5 years that we have been doing as a company.
And Suren, like I also came across CGI's commitment in terms of ensuring 100% pro bono commitment from each team.
Right.
Would you want to touch upon that? Or?
What we do as a company is we are from a tech background. We are an IT company, where we are a client-facing company, and we take up projects from the client. We provide IT support. While we do that as a business, company as a whole at a global level felt, can we leverage our expertise in providing support for non-profits? So this started 3 years back when company at a global level suggested or informed that can we have it as 100% all business units taking up pro bono. So it's a top-down approach that was put forward rather than a bottom-up approach, which we also have. We have 3 types of approaches that we have. One is top-down approach, where at a BU level, everyone in the sense every business unit needs to have pro bono. And bottom-up approach is an open opportunity which we give, which we partner with few entities. So we have NASCAM Foundation, through which we drive the bottom-up approach of engaging volunteers. Then we have internship model, where our interns are also engaged in pro bono. While the interns come here on a paid basis to work on certain projects, how can we leverage them to work on pro bono? So it's a three types of model that we take up. But as a company, we have India. We are proud to tell that India is the only place where we have 100% of all business units at least taking up the projects. We have different business units who have at least committed for one project or one supporting one NGO at least.
Great to see the evolution as well in terms of volunteering at CGI. Santhosh, if I can come back to you, you shared almost 2 parts of your volunteering journey. We started with teaching, and then sort of more at a strategic skill level, supporting NGOs and in their boards. You also mentioned about the element of reflection. So if you could just reflect, Santhosh, as well, in terms of what were those skills, because oftentimes when we volunteer, we are sort of in the flow. But to take a step back and kind of reflect on what were the skills that you built during this time, what were the skills that you used during your volunteering activities. So if you would like to share any element of skills that you built through volunteering.
You want skills built or skills?
Both. Either is okay.
Let me talk about the skills used first.
Sure.
Again, 2 part. The phase 1, working as teaching volunteer. Of course, teaching, making things simpler, explaining things, and learning something new. These are the skills, like being curious, learning something new, and working with students, understanding their emotional needs as well as the need to understand a new subject. And each kid will come with a different level of understanding. Working with them. This is what I think skills needed was teaching, understanding the students, understanding the subjects, learning curiosity, and things like being consistent, commitment, that is executional skills, like you go and work. It's not just about you knowing things, you have to be there and you have to execute. Phase 2, where I got involved with the corporate whiteboard and then the whiteboard, skills like strategic thinking. How do you look at say for example in the organization we look at how do we do the roadmap for next 3 years. There are many NGOs who want to create that kind of a roadmap vision, and then it could be like things like creating the presentation deck for fundraising, or helping them with the data analytics, decision making, let me put it this, data based or data driven decision making, and then design thinking, user experience or user research, persona mapping, business models, then communication, marketing, some of the HR policies. These are the skills which over a period of time learned in the corporate world, which I was able to use it, including like leadership abilities and working with people. All these things were able to use. And now the skills that I gained, I think while these are the list that I said what is the used skill, some of the skills that I learned, maybe I would give one example. My initial journey as volunteer in the Samarthanam, there were times when I had to explain a poem in Kannada which talks about a sunrise, a beautiful morning, a sunrise that happens and the way the color changes. And I've literally seen that, like initially I used to have that like, hey, how does this work? How do the people who are visually challenged understand? Because I am working with people who don't have at least the vision, different abilities, and there were apprehension, there were thinking that, hey, biases, let's call it as like biases that I had, that hey, they won't be able to understand. But over the years I started that it's not about seeing things, it's also about feeling things. People can feel it, people can experience it, and I started becoming more and more comfortable with the diverse understanding of people and the way people look at things. So some of my biases started eroding. This happened over 8 years of my volunteering journey there. And being more empathetic, let's say if, it's very easy to say, can't you read this? But like now you go and sit there and you need to understand that they can't really read. You have to record and they have to understand and you have to speak. So empathy and biases, working with biases, these are certain things that I learned as early part of this thing. And also making things simpler. How can you explain things in a simple way so that they understand? See, it's very easy to sit and say that, hey, look at this presentation, and I'm making a boardroom presentation, and I say that, hey, this is the presentation and I can use everything in the PowerPoint. But now you go and explain it to people, how do you make it understandable? This helped me a lot, because this helped me to navigate through the corporate world where I could make things simpler for others. I don't need presentation. I can tell them in a way they can understand, because I can visualize it in a better way compared to others. This is what started happening. I think it might look trivial now, but like one of the things that I learned is to use Skype. Back in 2007 or 8, there were days I used to take classes, marathon of classes in Skype. The entire teaching on Sundays used to happen. Saturdays I used to go there physically, and Sundays used to be via Skype. So I think it took at least 10 years and the COVID to come for people to get used to Skype and Teams or Google Meet or Zoom to attend classes for so-called engineering or even high-tech this thing. But 2007, 8, 9, I have extensively used Skype for taking classes. So this is part one of the learning. So the second, I think the whiteboard journey. Again, another incident. So there are NGOs working for different causes, and again, though I said that biases was eroding, but not completely. I always believed that working for a teaching, volunteering, or educational, or something which is working for women, poverty is something higher level compared to other NGOs. I think one of the first engagement that I took is an animal welfare organization. I think back then I also asked Arti, can I really work here, and do you think that I can do this, because I have never worked and it is not something that is touching my heart. Let's say that it is not my passion working for the animals. She said, no, experiment it, try it, let's see. Then I started working, but I was still disconnected on the topic because it is not my passion working for the animals and the stray dogs kind of a thing. So there was one day where we were having a deep dive conversation. Until then I was going, but one thing that I had learned is being consistent. Every meeting go and sit and come back and make notes and see like what is that can be done, give some suggestions. All these things were happening. I think within first 1 or 2 months there was a day when I was having problem with my tooth, root canal. I had the root canal done and I was not able to speak. We were paired, one guy from Siemens, Pati, and me, and Pati was doing the talking and I was sitting there and listening, not speaking because I was not able to speak. So that 1.5 hour meeting gave me an understanding that listening is more powerful. So there is a lot you can understand by listening, and that one meeting actually helped me to understand that it's not about the cause whether you like it or not. If you want, you can also contribute here and you can get connected with the topic. So it helped to take out the bias again and also being more empathetic, active listening, and more important, like I started learning being patient. That is like at corporate 15-18 years you are used to a pace at which things happen, meetings, minutes of meeting, action points, and then follow up kind of thing. You go and start working, there are different priorities. NGOs have their own priorities and there are daily issues, resource crunch, and then working with those kind of a thing, like how do you work with a limited resource, and founder is also juggling between different topic, funding, communication, getting some campaigns done, so the pace is different. So you have to wait, and you have to wait for the time to come, and you have to wait for that opportunity. There you can actually go with your idea. All these things are happening. So as I said, having more patient, emotional quotient increased, empathy increased, I could say that. And I also honed some of my skills which were in corporate, like I started extensively using design thinking and UX methodologies in the social sector. That gave me a different perspective, which I could take it back to the corporate in a different way and use it. So these are some of the things I would say that, like, another important one is, I said, the data driven decision making is what I learned in the corporate. That is, look at the data numbers and then make decision. The more and more I started working with the NGOs, I started understanding that decisions are not always made with the data. It's a feeling, it's an intuition. Many times call it gut feeling or what. If you are connected to that purpose, driven by passion, you don't look at numbers. You look at the purpose and passion and make decision. So becoming comfortable with that kind of a decision making, I started understanding, I started learning. How does it help me is like, I work as digital transformation head and I sit in a lot of innovation campaigns, ideations, startup programs, where there is somebody who is passionately talking about their idea, but like if I'm not connected, and then that not only I'm killing the idea, I'm also killing that person's passion to continue to work. So how do you work with those kind of people who are driven by passion, not by the numbers, and still make it work? You can give a candid feedback, but it is not about, candid feedback is not about being brutal. How do you work with them? These are the things that I started learning, that is working in uncertain condition, working with emotions, not always by the data.
Thanks, Santhosh. It's great to hear, even like at a senior leadership level, such an influencing role that volunteering can play and create such a diverse set of skills, right? From personal, interpersonal, even organizational, like complete new perspectives that you gain. So yeah, it's great to know. Ranjani, like I know that you started volunteering when you were starting your career. So if you can share how volunteering helped you in your professional journey and your career so far.
So, teaching in itself requires a lot of patience, I'm sure we know. And also understanding what kind of learners these kids are. It helped with my improving my observational skills, and also knowing what to give kids when, and what kind of a learning to give. It was all a good improvement in the observational skills. And through the volunteering journey, I also got to do recruitment, where we recruit volunteers. We have a full-fledged interview process that we do, because ultimately we need those volunteers stick on for those 9 months for those kids. We want the commitment. So doing this whole recruitment process, the interview process, and the data handling that came with all of this, it really helped. There were certain platforms that we got to explore for this whole data handling, and it was about getting into it, exploring, knowing more about how to handle all of this data. It was also basic Excel sheets that we worked a lot on, and early on I got to explore a lot through Excel sheets itself. Apart from this, we also run certain events during the end of the year for the kids, where we have some small celebrations to end the year. And I think running an event in itself is a huge thing. There are very little things that we need to take care of. I get to do that a lot at work as well today. So at my workplace, I take care of continuous improvement and project management, which is a lot about lean manufacturing for this site. And through this, there's also an aspect of running workshops or other trainings, and I think it's important we keep in mind very little details. So back when I got to do it at that level as a volunteer, it was a practical learning for me to know how to run events, and it has helped me a lot today. Apart from this, there's been a lot of networking as well through these years, and you and I, being right from Kollam to Kashmir, got to meet a lot of different people and gain a lot of different perspectives, and it's been good. There's also self-confidence that has gone up. Like I mentioned, it was a lot of live problem solving that we got to do, and working in uncertainties, like how you mentioned, Santhosh. Something more on also storytelling. I think through workshops that we need to conduct, or any trainings that we need to conduct at a workplace, it's important we know how to do the storytelling or how to do the presentation, and that skill set was something that I also got to pick up through volunteering. It was a lot of practical learning that I got from here.
Surendran, I know with the pro bono programs that you all are supporting and volunteering at CGI, have you also seen some of the intrinsic benefits of volunteering to your employees, and some of the business benefits that you have observed at CGI as well?
So before getting into the benefits that the employees or members gotten, I should just mention about the benefit that I got. If I am in this position, the reason is volunteering. So my journey started in volunteering, and I am from a MCA background. I am a pure IT person. I worked in IT company for 8 years, and then parallelly volunteering with multiple organizations, then started my own platform as well. Volunteering gave that skill which I felt I did not have, which is leadership. If someone would have asked me in 2012, would you start, or even 2001 year before what I started, I would say no. But this just came in. I did not have any formal way of starting something, or formal way of getting some coaching or courses of. It was all on the go, and it was all because of volunteering. And in volunteering, what I gained is the leadership quality or leadership skill, and that's how I'm in this position. Now, coming to our members who volunteer with pro bono, what do they gain? What I see majorly is on the project management and creative thinking, or giving simplified solutions. So one example to take is we had a pro bono project where one NGO says their problem statement, and then since we have a top-down approach, there was management which was telling the solution, but we had youngsters who are interns who were also part of the problem solving, and they came up with a solution which was more simplified, and which was also open source. They made sure that not to take the route that the management was suggesting, which was complicated. And they came up with a solution which was simplified, and they think more out of it. So when a problem is thrown in front of them, I see the skill that they develop also is on the problem solving and creative thinking to give simplified solutions. And also the skill that they gain, at least from the employee's perspective, is patience when they nothing wrong with the non-profit sectors as such, no offense, but sometimes when the responses are low, or when they're trying to understand the problem statement is not defined clearly, and they're not able to just gauge what exactly this entity needs, and that needs a lot of patience to understand. It's not like a client. We have a client, there is a requirement given by the client, you deliver it. But when you work with non-profit, it's the requirement itself is multifold, and you will have to patiently understand and then try to identify. That we see as a skill that our members have been developing. And what do they gain out of it is, how many of you are from non-profit here and from corporate? Very few. Okay. So for the non-profit as such, when you're putting forward pro bono, there's a bit of hesitation from the corporate side, mainly because I do this task every day. If I'm coding or if I'm working on AWS, I'm doing it day in and day out. If you're asking me to do this again for a non-profit, it's like I'm doing my work extra. Now this is where you will have to change, or you will have to see how your pitch is. Now, while you are doing work, that's your day-to-day job, but what you do for the non-profit, what is the purpose of doing it? How do you define that purpose? If that purpose doesn't hit them, they're not going to do this one. Now, what we try to do is more on giving them understanding of what that purpose is. Now, even if it's your day-to-day job, if you're trying to put in more effort in doing this one, how is it going to benefit the community? How will that make a difference? If that point hits them, they will do more. So that I see as...
Thanks, Surendran. I actually realized we are 15 minutes till the end of the session. I hope if you all have any questions, you all can scan the QR code and send across any questions for the panelists. We've got some questions, so maybe we'll move towards that. Ranjani, this is actually for you based on your fundraising experience that you mentioned from Chetra. She's asking, how do you get someone to donate repeatedly for the same cause? And how do you make it more impactful? So if you can share anything on that.
So initially when I started off, it was a lot of doubt about whether my circles would donate, because it's not so easy for us to go reach out and ask money, right? We haven't done that on a day-to-day basis, at least most of us. And it was very hard, but it was that volunteer who was there saying, take that step, I'm here with you if you want to try it out. And that's what wanted me to at least reach out to my first circle back when I started fundraising 8 years ago. And over the year, it initially started with my first circle, my close friends and my family. And when I saw the kind of support, it was really, I'd say, I was very overwhelmed. It was not that there weren't rejections, there were many rejections, at least 4x rejections based on the kind of donations that I get. And being consistent is key. So what I generally do is I reach out to all my contacts. The only thing in mind for me is I reach out to them. If they give, it goes for my kids. If not, it's okay. I at least tried. And doing this year after year for around 2 to 3 years, initially for 2-3 years, a lot of them did not donate, or I was seen zoned or sure zoned. And after that, seeing this consistency is what, got people to also support my campaign and do this. There were also a bunch of people who wanted to know more about the work that I do because of sticking on and staying here. And after a point, it became about them wanting to do this, them reaching out and asking, hey, when is your campaign? So the thing is, I think, not to take it in any other way, but a lot of us do doubt NGOs when we donate to them, right? And when your circles know that you're doing this, being there on ground, and you're there directly seeing that impact, they trust it all a little more. And there's no harm in trying and reaching out to circles, because they'll definitely want to support. There are people who want to do a lot of such work or help such needy communities, and when they get such an opportunity through someone they know, they'd readily want to do it. So
that answers. We got a question from Shubham from We Do Good. Maybe Suren, this you can answer, but anybody feel free to otherwise. He asks, given we've spoken a lot about the benefits of volunteering and the skills, how can we get people to understand these benefits of skilled volunteering? Would you have any thoughts, or if any of you have any thoughts?
Make them understand.
Yeah, how can we get more people to understand the benefits of skilled volunteering?
Storytelling.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I would see, how do you project these stories of what impact they created through their skills. Now, if you want to make them understand, they should see. If they have to see, there has to be something done. So if you can take that forward in whatever means that you want to, but tell the success stories more for more people to join. So that I see as making understand. Anyone else?
I agree. I think storytelling, or at least even forget storytelling, you should talk about it. At least my own journey, the first 8 years of volunteering, I never used to speak to anybody about what I am doing. I used to spend my weekends with the NGO, come back, and Monday again back in office. So never speak about this, because I thought what I am doing is very small thing, I don't need to talk about this. And now I speak about this in my team. I tell them that, hey, here is an opportunity, are you interested to work? So there are two things, one is exposure, other one is experience. So you have to create opportunities for both. Can you give exposure to people in your team, in your circle, about what you are doing, and say they understand what it means to be a volunteer and what benefits you are getting? So more and more you talk about, hey, this is what I learned, this is what I had an experience, and I see that it is benefiting me, benefiting organization. They become curious. Curiosity is the mantra. Then make them experience. So some of the things that I do is I take some of my employees for one day. Why don't you come and join me? You don't need to commit anything. This Saturday, let's say, let's go to an NGO and spend 2 hours. If you are interested, you can continue. So the exposure and experience helps.
Thanks, Santhosh. So Mini Bhargava asks one question which all of you can answer. What are the key skills or attitude to be a successful volunteer?
I think it's showing up, consistency. Like if you're starting off something, we may not be able to see immediate effects or have those great experiences in the first go itself. It's about trying out different things and trying it out for a couple of times. When we are able to see any kind of impact or the kind of experience we want, whatever be it, it is a learning. So I think it's about jumping in and trying it out.
It is about having heart to help. I don't know if that is a skill, but if that is there for a volunteer, I would see a volunteer can travel across any number of years, that as long as they can connect to the cause, they are there. When they disconnect with the cause, they are not there, and that's where they kind of fade out. So it's hard to help and connect with the cause.
I add another H to that. So hand, heart, and head. So you can also work with the head, that is use your skills, learned skills. So I put it this way always, like hand, heart, and head. If you can use any of this or combination of this, you have an opportunity to work as volunteer. I agree with Ranjani saying that being consistent, showing up is one of the most important thing. But I think there is also a different way to look at it. I think volunteering is seen as like, hey, I'm doing something free. I'm doing something as a, let's say, I'm helping somebody. I think if we flip that and start looking at this in a different way, hey, it's more about gaining. Let's say I'm volunteering to learn more. I am volunteering to gain more. I think nothing wrong in that, because nothing wrong in being selfish about learning something new, something different, and honing some skill. Most of the time volunteering is seen with the eyes of like, I'm trying to do something free, I'm anyway benefiting, so if I don't go this weekend, it is okay. So I think that has to change. And also, the other thing that helps is having little bit of patience. Don't expect that just because you have gone there to volunteer, there are people who are waiting, and you are the person, and they are waiting for you to come, and then everything is set right, and you go there. Let's say teaching. Take example of teaching. 1 hour of teaching. It is not about 1 hour of teaching. Probably there is a preparation. There is sometime you need to wait for the kids. Sometime you need to wait for the classroom. There are many more things. Sometimes books are not available. So be prepared to work on multiple other things. Don't feel that like in the corporate everything is organized, you go to a meeting room and attend the meeting. That doesn't going to happen. So these expectations have to change, and we have to speak about this more and more, and then things will start changing.
Thanks, Santhosh. I think we are probably at time now. Thanks, Santhosh, Ranjani, and Suren for giving a very different perspective on volunteering and the influence it's had in your individual journeys. Given we have all of you in the room, and the topic that we discussed in terms of how volunteering can play an experiential role in the lives of people, we've organized like a little bit of a activity which you all can do after the session as well. It's a competition where we are basically trying to crowdsource different types of volunteering activities and identify what skills or attributes they can build in individuals. The intention is, if we have a list of such activities and corresponding skills and benefits it can build, there's a greater case for companies perhaps to start looking at volunteering as beyond CSR, and probably as a learning and development opportunity, as leadership development, as Santhosh mentioned as well. So there's a lot of opportunity to do work around this. If you all have any thoughts, ideas around it, you all can submit the form. We'll be very happy to receive your ideas on the same. It's a competition, so there will be some prizes as well, but of course the intention behind it is to also utilize your collective views and experience in this. So thanks again for joining and sharing your insights and experience.
Thank you, Santhosh. Thank you, Ranjani.